So I just finished watching the Nintendo press conference showcase, whatever the hell they are called. And I gotta say, I'm gonna start off. Normally, I save my own opinions for the end, but I gotta start off for this one. And Nintendo fanboys, please save all your hatred for the end. But I gotta say, I gotta start off saying that I did expect more from Nintendo, and I'll get into why. But I definitely expected more. That I guess I should just go into it, but I'm going to start off just saying I did expect more, definitely. So the way they started out was with Miyamoto, which surprised me, uh, because the cameras looked really old school. I was like, is this some old footage or something that they're showing? Because they had like Pikmin in his pocket and stuff. I guess that because of the Pikmin and stuff, they had like bad quality. But they started with Miyamoto, and I gotta honestly say I liked it better when they ended with Miyamoto. When they ended with like the big thing, the big reveal. But they started out with Pikmin 3, Pikmin were in his fucking thing everywhere. But the first thing I noticed is when he starts talking about the Wii U, is the controller is like as big as his chest. It's like this big. And I mean, he's tinier than me. But, like, the thing that goes to my head is that controller is huge. Like, especially for tiny Japanese people with their tiny Japanese hands, you know. It's just the first thought that pops through my head. I don't know why. That's just what I thought. But yeah, he goes on. He goes on to Pikmin 3. It's more immersion now. There's 4 people that are. There's no Olimar in there because it's a secret or whatever, and you can throw them. There's a lot of new additions. I've never been the biggest Pikmin fan in the world, but I can see how if you are a fan of Pikmin, that this game is gonna be like a system seller for you, because it uses the touchscreen as like a map. There's a bunch of modes. There's multiplayer where you're working together, you're coordinating. At least I think there's multiplayer. Don't quote me on that one, but you definitely control four of the people with the whistles. You know. Then that's when he also introduced a new type of Pikmin. So that was cool, Rock Pikmin. And he was talking about how with the Wiimote and Nunchuck you can still use it. And, fling those Pikmin as fast as possible. And you can also use the Wii U controller as a map while you use that. And then Reggie Fils-Aimé came on, like he always does. And I gotta say, Miyamoto is always really enthusiastic. I love when Miyamoto's on the screen because he's always really enthusiastic. He's like, yeah, this game's awesome. But he says it in Japanese, so he has a translator who's not as excited as him. But if you listen to Japanese, he's like super excited about everything. And the thing that confused me about him being on was, now that I'm almost 100% sure I read a bunch of articles where he retired and now he's a consultant. So I didn't really expect him at the press conference, or not like in the same way that he always has been. But I mean, I might be wrong there. Maybe that was like in like a fake April Fool's article or something like that. But yeah, Reggie Fils-Aimé came on, and he actually said it's all about the games, all of it, everything. It's about games. The world, man, woman, Adam and Eve, they were about games. And he was like, "We're gonna show you games, games, games." And he was like, "We have 23 Wii U games, including that Pikmin game." That was in subtitles. That was like a little disclaimer. They only had an hour for the presentation, so I was like, wow, that's a lot of games for an hour. 23 games, you divide 60 by 23, it's almost a game every 2 minutes, right? It's like a game every 2 minutes and 15 seconds or something. And I'm like, wow, that's incredible. Everyone else had an hour and a half. They ended up going over time, but they only had an hour as planned. So he said, I'm holding all the technical Wii U stuff for later. Not even at E3, just later, like way later. Up till now, no mention of the 3DS whatsoever yet. But they're all like Wii U, Wii U, Wii U. But he says, I'm holding all the technical stuff, and then he just keeps talking about the Wii U. They're not technical specs, but he just keeps saying stuff about it, like you're going to be able to play with your friends, which we already knew, and you're going to be able to play the games with a gamepad and whatever. He just keeps talking about it. At least in this whole speech, that did end up going on for like 10 minutes, I don't want to say 10 minutes, maybe like 7 minutes. He does announce that you can have 2 gamepads on one Wii U console, which is good, because everyone is always like, They only show games with one gamepad. Like, are there going to be games with two gamepads or even more? And he was like the classic NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, you can have two, which in today's world you're supposed to have four, but that's okay. Two gamepads is enough for me because those things are probably going to be expensive ass controllers, probably like $100 a pop. Like, it's a tablet. It's a tablet. Like, controllers with just Rumble are $55. It's a tablet with a touchscreen, with a high-def touchscreen. It's going to be more than a PS3 or an Xbox controller. But he did announce, he said that they're only showing games with one gamepad, though, so whatever. Then they start going over the gamepad features, and I'm like, oh, there's no Wii U technical features. They're just going to go over the specs of the gamepad, which they didn't even go over the specs. They just showed you the layout, which anyone, anywhere that touches one or even looks up a picture of it can see. They don't need to explain that this is the headphone jack. This one. This right here is the headphone jack. And this one right here, that's the R button. It's like, people know. So just shut up. And then they start talking about the Miiverse, which is not a game. That's not a game. They just talking about how, you're going to be able to see your friends, people you've played with online that aren't your friends, people that play on your console. The same console as you. It's like, okay, who cares? And then 3DS is going to have the Miiverse too, so they're connected, kinda, blah, blah. And that's the first mention of the 3DS at all. So then they're like, let's introduce the new Mario. What is going to sell this system? And they got it right. New, wait for it, Super Mario Bros., wait for it, U. That's right. New Super Mario Bros. U. Not like New Super Mario Bros. At all. Not just like it's like the same exact game, but for the Wii U. No. They added, it's the same game for the Wii U. They added costumes. That's about it. There's still 4-player co-op. Now you can use the touchpad to make platforms. So someone's sitting there watching some kid play, he's looking at his thing, and he can see the thing, and he's like, oh, put a pad there. No, make this leaf sprout. And then he waits like an hour. And then another level, there's like, make this thing, make him land on that. Okay, that sounds like it's fun. Yeah, okay. And then that also, like, I was just thinking, seriously, that's the Mario game you come up with is basically like, there's every other console has had a Mario game that was like definitive. NES had Mario Bros. Super NES had a couple Mario Bros. That were all different. And then, N64 had the first 3D Mario. GameCube had Super Mario Sunshine, and the Wii had Mario Galaxy, Mario Galaxy 2. All of them system sellers. New Super Mario Bros. Was on the Wii. New Super Mario Bros. U was going to be on the Wii U, and it's just new levels, but it's the exact same gameplay. It's like really, that's the one that you're going to say is the definitive Mario game for the Wii U? I don't think so. And it's also going to be integrated with the Miiverse, blah, blah, blah. So now, every time you go to a level, you get to see stupid comments from people. They're like, this jump was hard, or I died like 3 times. You get to the jump, and you make it in the first try, and you're like, wow, what a loser. And then you just want to leave a comment. That jump was easy. That kid's an idiot, a retard, big moron, big hate. I hate him so much that it's big hate. So up till now, how many games have I actually gone over? Let me recap this. Pikmin and New Super Mario Bros. And I'm pretty much halfway through my notes. So yeah, that's all about the games. Yeah, that's completely all about the games. And yeah, it even looks like it's the exact same quality. The frickin' Super Mario Bros. Wii U. I mean, New Super Mario Bros. U looks like it's the exact same quality as the Wii one. But then they moved on. They finally got to another game, Batman Arkham City. It's a new one. It's Arkham City Armored Edition. It's gonna be the same game. You're just gonna have extra features. The Wii controller, the gamepad. It's gonna have some cool controlling batarangs and stuff. But this is a game that's already out. So I guess it's a good way of saying it can play the same games as all the other consoles, but it should be able to play games that the other consoles can't, that aren't just exclusive, like aren't just Microsoft exclusive, aren't just Nintendo exclusive properties like Mario and stuff. So it has a couple new features. It's Arkham City. Warner Bros. Comes out and they start talking, and alright, it looks kind of cool, but there's a lot of other games coming out, new ones coming out that are going to be on the Wii U and PS3 and Xbox, and they get into them later, but why wouldn't they showcase one of those instead of just showcasing Arkham City that a lot of people have already played. You know, that was what I was thinking about it. Harley Quinn does talk, and she was funny. I like Harley Quinn. I like her psycho thing. Um, and then Warner Bros. Also announced Scribblenauts Unlimited, which is going to be for the Wii U, and later we found out it was going to be for the 3DS. They couldn't even announce it when they announced it, like, at first. So it's just like, it's like another Scribblenauts game. It's in HD. They were like, oh yeah, it's in HD. They seriously, it's like there's a dinosaur leg stuck to a dinosaur body. Like, it just swivels. That's in HD. Okay, thank you for the HD, cardboard cutout. Yeah, it's like, that's not really required in HD to be. It's not. Its main draw isn't the graphics. So then they get into the montage. They finally get into the montage. They're finally back to games. I finally realized, okay, now we're gonna see the games. Except they go in montage form. So 23 games, they can show like 7 in 30 seconds if they do it in montage form, which is pretty much what they do. I was trying to write down the titles, and Nintendo has this thing where they have really long titles, and they fly through them. So they started with Darksiders 2, and I was like, yeah, I already knew that. Okay, so you have Darksiders 2 on the Wii U. It's going to come out whenever the Wii U comes out, probably, maybe a little bit later, because it's coming out before the Wii U. Mass Effect 3, that surprised me. Still, though, it's a game that's been out for 6 months already. Maybe not 6 months, but it's going to have been out for like 8 to 10 months before the Wii U launches. So it's not like the biggest reason to get a Wii U, because you can, if you really want to play the game, if you're a fan of the game, you already have it on another console. There was some tank game that just looked okay. I've never seen it on another console. They had Tekken Tag Tournament 2, so they're going to have fighters other than Smash, which is something I got to go over later, because they didn't go over Smash at all. Trine 2, Ninja Gaiden 3, Aliens, Colonial Marines, and that's when the montage ended. It's like, okay, bitchin'. And then they were like, let's pick up the pace with the Wii Fit U. Oh yeah, they're basically saying, get the Wii U and you'll get version 2 of every game we come out with on the Wii. That's basically what they're saying with this game, And I'm just like, ugh. It looks kind of cool, but Nintendo does this thing where they don't have on-stage demos. They have like the commercials, like the 4-minute length commercials that with actors that they're gonna show you. So it was. I'm not gonna get the game. I'm not into the fitness games, but I mean, I guess someone out there might be. So it might be a good thing, but I don't know. Then they moved on to something that's new. Sing, working title, lowercase I, but everything else is capitalized. Don't mess that up. It's a working title. It's just he was talking about dancing. It's a dance game called Sing, okay, and there's just like 4 people dancing with Wiimotes, and there's one person holding up the gamepad, kind of like long ways, and they're reading lyrics and they're singing. But there's no points. I didn't see any point system at all. I don't know how you win. Like, every game has to have like a winner. That's why all the dance games you like get points and you break records and stuff. I didn't see any points whatsoever. And then they finally come out. They're like, all right, we are gonna actually talk about the 3DS. We're not gonna completely ignore it. So they bring some guy out. They're like, he has about 3 minutes to talk about the 3DS. Okay, in an hour you give it 3 minutes. Are you serious? The guy take more than 3 minutes, thank God. But he starts off by saying there's gonna be a webcast, an hour-long thing for the webcast. Why couldn't they just, like, another webcast that I have to go watch tomorrow, maybe, if I even remember. And I'm just like, what the hell? They couldn't have gone for an hour and a half like everyone else and given like a half hour to the 3DS, like just had an extra. They could have done it in the beginning, and then the whole like last hour could have been at the Wii U, and I would have been happy. So instead, what do they end up doing? They show a few games. They show New Super Mario Bros. 2 for the DS, and it's different than the Wii U one, because it's all about gold. You get like gold power-ups and you get coins. It's all about collecting coins. It didn't even look as fun because there's so many coins on screen, and I'm just like, oh my god, like everything is about turning everything into coins, which doesn't really sound as fun to me as the normal one would. You're going to be focusing so much on getting coins because they're going to give you so many. That's obviously the point of the game. You're going to be so focused on getting the coins that the levels aren't going to matter as much. That's kind of how I felt. I mean, a lot fewer people are going to watch the webcast. So if you come out, you got to show them something new. Like if you have 3 minutes of a press conference, you should show them something new. I realize now I sound angrier than I actually am. Like they did show some new stuff, and I'm excited about that. But I'm just mad about the 3DS because as a 3DS owner, I'm sitting here thinking they're like pretty much ignoring me. They're saying like come back tomorrow, which is almost the last day of E3, and we'll have an hour-long presentation for you specifically for 3DS. That's not what you do with your showcase, you know. Um, so so they have the new Super Mario Bros. 2, which is basically showing that the Wii U one, is pretty much the second one. They just didn't name it 2; they named it U, and they made the tie-in 3DS one, just like they made the tie-in DS one for the Wii. You know. Then they moved on to Paper Mario, and I'm thinking, hell's yeah, because Paper Mario is one of my favorite Nintendo like franchises. I like Mario in general, but Paper Mario has always been one of my like favorites, always from the original. I've played all of them so far. I thought it was cool. I didn't really like the Wii one as much as I did the other ones because it was different. It was still Paper Mario, but it was different. I like the original Paper Mario style better, which this one goes back to. It's all about stickers. You know, the stickers you get in the world determine what moves you can use in battle. So I thought the battle system upgrades were pretty cool. And yeah, nice additions to the battle system is pretty much all I saw out of the whole trailer. It's still Paper Mario, still the same humor and everything, but basically the battle system is the thing that's been revamped for this one. Then they did Luigi's Mansion, which got a subtitle Dark Moon. I think that's the first announcement of the subtitle of it. It looks cool. It looks like just like the Luigi's Mansion 2. That's kind of exactly what I expected. But again, out of these games, except for New Super Mario Bros. 2, we already knew about them. So then they go on and they show a montage of the ones that are going to be on the 3DS, and it was kind of cool. But I mean, there wasn't one that I didn't know about, except for one, which was they did end up showing Scribblenauts Unlimited. It's going to be on the 3DS too. Oh, okay. They couldn't have just said that when they announced it. But at least it's a new game that I didn't know about. You know, it's something to look forward to if you're a Scribblenauts fan. I played the first one. I didn't play the second one, but you can make your own creations and share them with friends. You know, Miiverse stuff they're really going for. So they showed Castlevania, Lords of Shadow, Mirror of Fate, or something like that. Some ridiculously long title. I know Lords of Shadow was right. Mirror of something. Mirror of Fate, something like that. And then they showed Epic Mickey Power of Illusion. It's 2D. I already knew about that game, just like I already knew about Castlevania. It looks okay. And then Kingdom Hearts 3D. They were basically right here. They were saying, this is like some cool third-party stuff. That's what they went for. They started talking about right there. They started talking about third-party games, and they wouldn't shut up about third-party. Every year, Nintendo's notorious for being badly treating to third parties, not giving them like the tools, stuff like that. So every year they come out and they're like, we are really working on our 3D, our third-party relationships. So yeah, we're going to have a lot more third-party games, and it just never happens really. They have a few gems for the third parties that they work with the closest, like pretty much Ubisoft, which is coming up. But other than that, third parties really do get left in the dust when it comes to Nintendo. But they always, every year at the press conference, they're like, yeah, third parties. And then they moved on to Lego City, which actually looks kind of cool. Like, you're like a secret agent, or you're going undercover, you're like a cop. It looks really cool. It looks like it has the same brand of Lego humor. It looks like a really good addition for the Wii U. All right, so that looks cool. That was one like the highlights for me, was seeing the Lego City. And I'm not a huge Lego game fan, but I like the humor they incorporated in it, and it looks like a huge open world thing. The platforming looks really cool and Lego involved. It does look pretty sweet. And then they went on to Just Dance 4. They pretty much brought Ubisoft out, and they said, talk about your games. And this is where we're getting close to the end of the showcase. So they start with like Just Dance 4, which you can now change which dance moves that people do by using the tablet. So there's gonna be some jackass who's gonna be giving you the hardest moves in really quick succession. There's a pose you have to hold, and they have to hold it until the guy in the controller finishes something. So the guy can just put it in and then put the controller down, walk away. And if you want to rack up points, you gotta go like this. with you with both legs off the ground, and it's like, how am I supposed to do that? Yeah. So, I mean, it looks like a good addition as long as your friend isn't a douche. Then they moved on to Zombie U. These are all games that they showed during the Ubisoft press conference, and if you're watching E3, you're probably watching that too. But for Zombie U, at least they showed gameplay trailer. At Ubisoft, they just showed like an intro trailer. So they showed a gameplay trailer. It does look kind of cool. It has good graphics, which is necessary because they got to show off that now they have the graphic chops, the graphic powerhouse. Rayman, Assassin's Creed 3, Rabbids, the sports collections, and something I want to talk about specifically, the Avengers. They have an Avengers game, and it was at Ubisoft. I can't remember the exact subtitle now, but because this was another montage, they were going by fast. The Avengers game, it looks like it's going to be a fighter. You get Spider-Man fighting Magneto, you had Wolverine fighting Venom. They had, at the end, all the main Avengers. They had the Hulk and Iron Man, everyone doing their thing up top on a rooftop, looking out at a city undergoing like a battleground. So it looks like it's going to be a fighting game, but it's coming out for Wii U and Kinect. Those are the two that it's coming out for. And I feel like a fighting game is going to be a lot better on the Wii U than it will be on Kinect. So that's a good addition. So basically, Ubisoft impressed me during this Nintendo press conference about equally as much as Nintendo did. And that's not necessarily a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but when a third-party developer comes out and shows off their games and people are cheering for their games and people are looking at your games and going, don't I already have that on like the Wii? It's, Nintendo didn't show enough of the actual games there. They didn't. If they showed stuff from Darksiders 2 instead of Batman Arkham City that people already played, or they showed stuff from Aliens, Colonial Marines, games that aren't out yet, something we haven't seen before, it would have been a lot better of a showcase, a lot better of showing off why you want to own a Wii U. The Mario game does not insist upon me getting a Wii U. Like, I'm looking at that and I'm like, it looks like the same game. It looks like I could just get one on the Wii that I already have, and I would have just as much fun because that's just as new to me, So, it's I think they. And the last thing they showed, this is the thing that they end on, is Nintendo Land, and pretty much it's supposed to be like Wii Sports was for the Wii. It's supposed to show off what you can do with the Wii U. It's supposed to be set up like a carnival in the Miiverse, like a amusement park, and just you have rides for Zelda and stuff like that, and it shows off the Wii with the gamepad controller and how it's supposed to work. And I'm sure it's gonna be great, but that is not a system seller. That is not, to me, a system seller. A little thing full of like 17 or 20 mini games, based kind of on like Luigi's Mansion. There was a ghost something. They showed off that one in depth, and it looks like it could be fun, but the rounds all last 5 minutes, and it feels like it'll get old after a while. One person's a ghost on the gamepad, and they can see where all 4 of the people with the Wiimotes are, and they can't see the ghost. You gotta turn flashlights on to hit the ghost. The Wiimote rumbles. You have to find the ghost. The ghost can scare you and knock you out, and you have to heal your friends, and then the friends are also... You have to talk to your friends. Like, if you're going to be playing this game, you have to be talking to your friends constantly. Be like, he's over here somewhere, he's near me, and then someone else is like, oh, he's near me too, he's somewhere in between us. And you got to hit him with the flashlight and kill him, but if he gets behind you, he scares you, knocks you out. Your friends have to stand there and revive you for a long time with their flashlights, with they're running out of power. And then... So, I mean, it is like a sense of urgency kind of thing, like, quick... That's a fast-paced one, which I feel like it'll be fun, but again, I'm not going to buy a Wii U to play that game specifically. I'm not going to buy a Wii U to get Nintendo Land, So it does look cool, but it's not a system seller. So that was pretty much how they ended. They were like, Nintendo Land, we're done. So they were an hour and 5 minutes about. It went from noon Eastern time to about like 1:05, 1:10. But if I had to give them, I'm giving them an overall grade. I would give them the same thing pretty much the same thing that I gave Sony, because they pretty much had the similar stuff going on. So I would give them like a B, leaning more toward B- than toward B+, somewhere in the middle of between B- and B. So I would actually give them the B, because they did, despite it being just another, like, despite it looking like it's not that impressive, like it's not a system seller, At least New Super Mario Bros. U is new. No one had heard about it. Pikmin 3 was a big announcement. I feel like if they did Nintendo Land in the beginning and they sort of showed off, they were like, oh, this is an amusement park, and they ended with Pikmin 3 with Miyamoto coming out and being really excited, he would have left a better taste in my mouth. But if I look at it for overall content and not order of things going down, then I gotta say, Pikmin 3, impressive. That's gonna be more of a system seller than like Nintendo Land or New Super Mario Bros. U. The fact that they showed only like 3 minutes of 3DS and they have a separate press conference that you have to go to like over 24 hours later to hear about 3DS games, that definitely does not sit right with me. They did show off the Ubisoft games. I'd already seen them during the Ubisoft press conference, but they showed off different aspects of it. During the montage, they showed a couple things I hadn't seen during Ubisoft, and they went in depth in the Zombie U, which looks like a cool game. They actually had a gameplay, so it looks like the dual screen functionality looks like it'll be cool. But other than that, they didn't really show anything I didn't know about. Like Pikmin 3 was like the only Pikmin 3 and New Super Mario Bros. U were like the only games I didn't know about. They didn't show the Smash Bros. That would probably be a system seller. They didn't show a really cool like Mario game. And also in the beginning he was like, it's all about the games, but there was so much not game stuff. He said we got a lot to show you, but they didn't actually show a lot. They had like 7 games in the one montage. So that's like a whole third of the games that he promised to show out. They had another games montage with Ubisoft and another one with 3DS. So about 2/3 of the games that they showed were in montage form. You saw maybe 15 seconds to 25 seconds of the game. Probably stuff you've already seen. Mass Effect 3, already seen all the stuff that they showed. Darksiders 2, pretty much just took like the trailer that's already out playing on YouTube as a pre-banner ad. So they definitely did not. I thought they were going to come out, they were going to have new Mario game for the Wii U, they were going to talk about Smash, they might announce like an HD Zelda's in the works, or like an HD Metroid, or a new Metroid, and Zelda's probably in the works because they had that screenshot, that tech demo, just like they had for the 3DS. Mario Kart and Star Fox has tech demos, and they came out for the 3DS. So it is expected at some point, and I just feel like not including those, giving the 3DS 3 minutes out of an hour, even if I probably would have even given them a B+ if they had given the 3DS 10 minutes and they went in depth into more games. If they gave it maybe 10 to 15 minutes and they went more in depth, they showed off a couple of games that are new that people aren't expecting. You can't just show people what they already know are coming out with, what they're expecting, and expect people to be like, wow, that was incredible. I know so much more now, because I don't know so much more now. And that's why I feel like Nintendo did not live up to. I thought they were going to be the winners of E3 because they had new console, they had new stuff to show, but really they didn't show that much new stuff, and they totally ignored the 3DS fans, the 3DS owners out there. They left them waiting for another 24 hours, and they pretty much said, we're not focusing on it, this other guy over here is focusing on it, and that I just didn't like that. So those are my thoughts. I know Nintendo has some of the most diehard fans. I'm sure some people are going to disagree and be like, everything was great, but feel free, leave your comments, leave your opinions, contradict me. I'm sure a lot of people don't feel the same way as me, but that's just how I feel. That's how Nintendo left me after their press conference. So this has been Dragon Rider Jack, and those are my thoughts.